What's up, everyone? My name is Fred Tam, and welcome back to another episode of my series for pre-construction condos, where we cover off every single aspect of the process. Welcome back. So in this episode, we'll be going over some of the most common myths and misconceptions when it comes to pre-construction condos. Pre-construction condos are a fast-paced environment, other than the construction process, which usually seems to take forever. And before we get into it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because it'll let you know when our new videos come out. It's also going to help share the video with other people who might be wondering the same things as you. So now let's jump into the content. The first myth that we're going to look into is affordability. Are pre-construction condos an affordable housing option? In a city like Toronto, where the average home price is about $1 million, then I gotta say that pre-construction condos are actually very affordable compared to other options. You can actually benefit from a scheduled deposit structure, and this scheduled deposit structure can actually span over a few years. And because you're buying a brand new product, you're actually covered by a warranty program. This new home warranty, covered by a company called Tarion, covers deficiencies found and discovered during your pre-delivery inspection and up to a certain amount of time. Here's an example. Let's say the builder mixed up your unit with another one, and the walls turned out to be bright yellow, when in fact you had requested the walls to be white. So when you bring this up to the builder, they'll literally have their teams go in to paint the walls white and to make sure that you're satisfied. Now on the other hand, if you purchase a resale home with yellow walls, guess who's on the hook for hiring painters or buying all the equipment and doing it themselves? So now you're thinking, well, that's just wall painting. I can go hire someone, I can do it myself, bring some friends over, we can do it. It's not a big deal, right? So then let's look at a little more complicated scenario. What if the concrete floor in your unit was uneven by 10 degrees? 10 degrees is a lot because it can make the difference of making it seem like you're walking down a slide to get to your bedroom, which sounds fun, but it's not ideal. And even if you were okay with that, I wouldn't recommend it because it could impact the future value of your home. So once again, the builder goes in to have their team make sure that the floor is perfectly even, and this is under the guidelines of the Tarion warranty program, but this is only if you bring it up as a defect. Now with a resale condo, you'd be paying for that deficiency, the uneven floor, and there's probably little to zero chance you can do anything about it. And even if you could do something about it, it could be quite costly. During your pre-delivery inspection of your brand new condo unit, if you're not the first person to bring something up, then there's a chance that it can go ignored completely. So this is where your attention to detail becomes critical when you're doing your inspection with the builder. Pre-construction condos can be more affordable compared to some other options, but it still doesn't mean that they're inexpensive. Invest your time when you're doing your pre-delivery inspection to call out everything you can, and don't let anyone rush you as well, because you want to make sure that you can bring out the very best in your investment. Since pre-construction condos are brand new, you're going to avoid the costs and hassles of replacing things like lighting fixtures, plumbing fixtures, broken countertops, failing appliances. You get the idea. These are problems typically found in a resale condo that might have not been well maintained, so it's just another example of how resale can actually cost you more than pre-construction. Now, why are deposits always 20%? Well, this one can be true or false, and it largely depends on the purchase price. The greater the purchase price, and also the greater the deposits will be. But that also means that the lower the purchase price, the lower the deposits can be as well. Deposits can be 20%, but they can also be more or less, and that's going to depend on the deposit structure created by the developer. And no matter what the amount, whether it's 10, 15, or 20%, it's going to be broken down into several deposits, usually 5% each. And they're also commonly spread out over a couple of years. Having your deposits spread out like this reinforces the fact again that pre-construction condos can actually be a more affordable option. And also, hit that like button if you're getting some value out of this video so far. Now, when you purchase a pre-construction condo unit, yeah, there's going to be a chance that the developer might not complete it. Yes, it's true. So naturally, a lot of people wonder what's going to happen if the project they've invested in goes south. What happens if the developer goes bankrupt? And what happens with everyone's deposits? These are two valid concerns, and you can mitigate the risk if you do a little bit of research and you make the right choices. In 2019, there were 8 pre-construction condo projects that were canceled. As of today, there are 208 pre-construction condo projects going on in the city, and all in various stages, including sales, construction, occupancy, and registration. So when you do the math with these numbers, it works out to be a 3.9% chance that a project will not complete. We also briefly talked about the Tarion warranty program, which protects you in case there's any deficiencies in your unit, but this program also protects you in the event of developer insolvency. In the event where a developer cannot provide you back with your deposit after a project is canceled, then Tarion steps in with a deposit protection of up to $20,000. Some people believe that real estate can't be leveraged as an investment tool, which I gotta say, I humbly disagree with. This misconception is usually caused by misinformation. Doing your due diligence and research in an area can help you understand the value an investment investment can be in an area. Consider researching the developer, the builder, the location of the project, major landmarks in the area like shopping malls, accessibility to highways and other transit systems. You essentially want to do this to establish for yourself if the area is up and coming, or if it's already an established area, either in a positive or negative way. If it's an area that doesn't check off any of the boxes, then you might want to consider another project. Back in 2018, did you know that if you saw a construction crane in Toronto, there was an 86% chance that it was linked to the construction of a residential high-rise tower? And that percentage has likely increased in the last 2 years. A developer doesn't build a condo apartment building or a condo townhouse complex on any randomly selected piece of land. There's a lot of analysis that goes into it because the developer is directly invested into the project, usually somewhere in the millions of dollars. We already determined that the risk is about 3.9%. If a developer is willing to invest millions of dollars with that risk number in mind, would you consider the possibility that it's a good investment? Drop a comment below and tell me what you think. For some people, knowing this information will help them come to a decision to move forward. But for some others, knowing that there's a risk of anything above 0.0% is going to feel unsettling for them. We know that there's a probability of a pre-construction condo project in the city of Toronto has a 3.9% chance of not being completed. Would you invest your saved up, hard-earned money with those odds? Some people gamble less money but more frequently with much higher risk of losing. This happens without people realizing it, but if they do realize it, then that means they're also okay knowing that they're going to lose money, which is kind of crazy. The odds of losing Lotto Max in Ontario is 99.999997%. It's so easy that all you have to do is go to the corner store, give the cashier a $5 bill in exchange for a piece of paper with some numbers on it. Then you go home and watch TV and hope that the bouncing balls come out with your numbers, so that on Friday night you hope that your piece of paper is worth $10 million. Is that how lottery works still these days? I don't know. Okay, I just did a bit of research and I found out you can actually buy lottery tickets online now. And I shouldn't be telling you this because I'm actually not trying to encourage online gambling right now. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but if you are an online gambler, let me know in the comments what you've won and maybe it'll change my mind. Okay, enough about lottery. When you're purchasing a pre-construction condo unit, you're not just buying a single unit in a building with 400 homes in it. You're also purchasing a proportionate share of the building space. The land value is expected to appreciate over time. That also means that each individual unit will appreciate as well, and the greatest rate of appreciation is usually in the first 5 years. The amount of appreciation definitely has some dependencies on the floor plan, which brings us to the next myth. Will floor plans vary from the final construction? Myth or fact? This one can actually be true. A developer will market their floor plans during the sales phase to potential buyers. They're more or less accurate representations of what the final product will be, but the purchase agreement will typically include a condition for variances. You might find conditions in your agreement similar to these two, and if that's not enough to make sure that the buyer understands the potential for variances, then they also include a disclaimer on the floor plans itself, so make sure you read the purchase agreement very carefully, or at least have a second set of eyes to review them with you. Discrepancies in the square footage should be within 2%, which is considered to be an acceptable tolerance. The final misconception that I want to talk to you about is the occupancy period. It's often believed that this period is just a cash grab for developers. So first of all, what is interim occupancy? It's the first time when a unit owner can finally move into their home. The building won't be 100% complete yet. There might be concrete floors showing and the hallways are not finished, and even the upper units on higher floors might not be finished yet. The building is also not yet registered with the city at this time. So until the building is registered with the city, the unit owners and residents are paying an occupancy rather than paying a mortgage. This monthly occupancy fee goes directly to the developer, so I can understand why there's a perception that this is a cash grab since it's sort of like paying rent. But under the Condominium Act, developers are actually under strict guidelines on how they calculate the occupancy fee so that they are not trying to earn a profit. The interim occupancy period can last anywhere from 4 to 8 months, but can also be shorter or longer depending on when you move in, which also means it matters which floor you live on as well. The sooner the last unit owner can move into their unit, the sooner the registration process can begin. The developer actually wants this to happen sooner than later. They might be working on another project already and want to focus their resources on that instead. Alright, so now let's do a quick recap on the most common misunderstandings with pre-construction condos. The first myth was about affordability. Are they an affordable housing option? The scheduled deposit structure has a way of making pre-construction condos an affordable housing option. Instead of paying 20% in one shot with a resale home, you're making installments spread out over a couple of years. You're also buying a brand new product, which also means much less maintenance for years to follow compared to a resale home. Deposits are also not always 20%. In fact, they vary depending on the developer and each project. project. In my experience, I've seen some projects require only as little as 10%, which reinforces the fact that pre-construction condos are an affordable housing option. We also know that the chances of a project canceling are quite low, but it's still a risk to consider. With respect to investment value, we know that developers are investing millions of dollars sometimes into these projects, so it would make logical sense to invest your money where other successful people are investing as well. As a unit owner, you also gain the benefit of appreciation over time. And because floor plans are an estimate of the final construction, then there's some variations that can be expected. And finally, we talked about the occupancy period and the occupancy fees and why they exist. The calculation of the fees are under regulation, which prevents the developer from trying to make a profit. And also during this time, which can last 4 to 8 months or even more in some cases, you don't have a mortgage until the building is registered with the city. I hope this video gave you some clarity on some of the questions you might have had and you gained some value from it today. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that way you can stay up to date on the latest real estate news and tips. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thanks again for watching to the very end, and I'll see you guys in the next one. What am I trying to say here?
Sorry, I'm trying to get better at this kind of thing.
Cool.
Oh,